Hi, I'm Matt Fiello. I am a technical marketing engineer with the Cisco UCS business unit, and I'm going to talk to you about UCS Central ID access control policies. Why use ID access control policies? Well, ID access control policies will facilitate the movement of global service profiles from one UCS domain to another. Particularly strong use case is I have two UCS domains with different management IP subnets. And I want to take a service profile from one UCS domain and move it to the other. And of course, I would want my IP address, my management IP for my KVM for the blade, to adjust properly if I move the profile from one domain to another. The second reason to use ID access control policies is in our case with management IPs, you can help reduce the total number of service profile templates. So I can actually use a single template, spawn multiple global service profiles from that template, and assign them to different UCS domains, all using different IP subnets that are appropriate for that particular domain. I'm going to use a PowerPoint here briefly just to kind of demonstrate and show how to use the ID access control policies. So we have a global service profile template, and part of that template is basically pointing or accessing an IP pool called gmanagement-IP. Okay, so I spawn a service profile, a global service profile from the template. And of course, I'm still accessing gmanagement IP. I then go ahead and I build some access control policies. And I'm going to build several of them, okay? And I'm going to build these policies and give them a friendly name that kind of coincide with the domain groups that I've established in my UCS Central hierarchy. So basically, I have New York, I have Chicago, and I have San Jose. And part of these in these domain groups here, of course, will have different UCS domains registered to these domain groups. So I'm establishing the segmentation with the domain group hierarchy. When I go to build blocks of IPs for my gmanagement IP pool, I'm going to build the blocks of IPs with the domain group or the supported subnet of that domain group in mind. So when I build my 10 block, okay, for instance, that 10 block will be used for my New York City domain group. I then build another block of addresses, and in my scenario, my 20 block is going to be for Chicago. And then finally, when I build my 30 block for the subnet, I'm going to assign that then to San Jose. So as I build these blocks of addresses, I can basically use the ID access control policies to help steer them to the appropriate domain groups and the UCS domains that are part of those domain groups. So let's kind of bring this full circle. So here I have my global service profile template that has spawned a global service profile using the gmanagement IP IP pool, and I've got my three domain groups out there: New York, Chicago, and San Jose. So I've basically, instantiated three global service profiles from that template, and I go ahead and I associate those global service profiles down to their respective UCS domains that are part of those domain groups. And as you can see, for the New York group, I actually have a 10 address get assigned to that global service profile. For the Chicago domain group, I get a 20 address, and for San Jose, a 30 address. So all three of these global service profiles are being basically instantiated from a single global service profile template. And I'm using the ID access control policies to help me pick the correct subnet IP to assign to a particular global service profile. Within the software itself, we're kind of using a concept called sticky binding. In other words, the service profile is accessing G management IP, but the actual IP address, the actual ID, does not get chosen, okay, until you actually assign the global service profile to a UCS domain. And at that time, because of the policies that you built, it knows which block of addresses to draw the IP from, and it will assign the correct IP then to that particular UCS domain. Okay, so let's move on now to a demonstration. Okay, now on to the demonstration. We have a instance of UCS Central 1.4.1a here with registered UCS domains. First thing I'd like to show you is we have different things pinned to our dashboard here, which is a great feature of UCS Central. So as I'm working on things, objects within my infrastructure, pools, policies, templates, service profiles, etc., I can pin those to my dashboard and have easy one-click access. So the first thing I'm going to show you here is the actual ID access control policies, and I have them listed here. Let's go ahead and look at New York. This policy, again, is very simple policy. You're basically giving it a name and then defining the permitted domain group. And if we edit this, you can see it's a very, very easy policy to configure. So that is the policy for New York. Let's look at the Chicago. Just like the New York, except you're picking the DG-ORD for Chicago, and then finally the San Jose, DG-SJC. So basically these policies are just pointers. Now I'll show you the actual G management IP pool. So you can see in the IP pool, I have my 3 different blocks, my 10 block, my 20 block, and my 30 block. You can see here that if I select the 10 block and then go over to the access control tab, this is where you define the ID access control policy that you've previously created. So you can see here for the 10 block, I want that 10 block to always be assigned to the New York domain group. Let's go to the 20 block. See, it changes to ORD for Chicago. And then the 30 block, it changes to San Jose. So again, just a pointer. Now, if we go look at our template, our service profile template, we can see in our global service profile template that for out-of-band management IP pool, we're using the G management-IP. So we're just accessing the policy by name. I have a couple service profiles that have already been spawned from the template, and they're bound to the updating template. So let's look at New York City. Okay, so this is the New York City global service profile. It's already been associated down to a UCS domain that's part of that domain group for New York City. If I go to my identifiers, my out-of-band management IP, I can see that I actually was assigned a 10 address. If I go into the actual UCS domain itself, I can see that the global service profile has been pushed down. And I can see that the 10 address did get pushed down properly with the global service profile. Let's go ahead and look at the Chicago global service profile. Okay, this global service profile has been pushed down to another UCS domain that's in the Chicago domain group. I can see for out-of-band management IP that it was actually assigned a 20 address. Here's the global service profile that was pushed down to the UCS domain. And we can see that the 20 address did in fact get pushed down. Okay, finally let's go to the San Jose global service profile. I can see that it's been assigned to yet another UCS domain that's a member of the San Jose domain group. The out-of-band management IP, it was assigned a 30 address. And here's the global service profile that was pushed down to the domain. And we can see that the 30 address got pushed down. Okay, so basically we have 3 different service profiles, all accessing a different management IP subnet, all created from a single global service profile template. So that concludes the demonstration. I hope you learned a little bit about ID access control policies. In my use case, I'm using management IPs, but these access control policies can also be used for other IDs if you wish to structure MAC addresses or worldwide port names, and be able to pick and choose different blocks for different UCS domains. You can actually use the ID access control policies for those as well. But I think the management IP is a particularly strong use case for this ability within UCS Central. I'd like to thank you for listening to the video, and good luck. Bye.